Today on an all-new Dr. Phil.
Two of the richest teenagers in America.
They are American royalty, heirs to $1 billion fortune.
You're taking diamonds to school for show and tell, and nobody knows that you're locked in a room for days at a time.
They are breaking the silence on one of the country's best-kept secrets.
And we're tied up, duct tape on cement floors.
In this basement.
In the middle of winter, with the deadbolt lock on the outside.
The shocking exclusive interview.
They say they have been beaten, abused, starved, neglected.
They survived the unthinkable.
How long would you go without eating?
2 days at a time.
Pick you up by your ankles like this.
And he would drop me.
On your head.
Pulling back the curtain on the darkness of riches.
Today, the darkness of riches. Like the Rockefellers, the Guggenheims, and the Vanderbilts, the Duke family is American royalty.
Doris Duke was probably the #1 socialite fortune of our century.
Doris Duke had a $100 million trust fund at age 30. She lived in an Arabian palace on the ocean in Hawaii.
Here, deep in the snowy mountains of Utah, in almost total isolation, live two of the richest teenagers in America. 16-year-old twins Georgia and Patterson Inman are the sole heirs to an estimated $1 billion tobacco fortune left to them by their late father, Walker Inman Jr., nephew of Doris Duke, the richest little girl in the world. But the 16-year-old twin heirs to the Duke tobacco fortune consider their inheritance blood money. Before their father died of a drug overdose in 2010, few people knew that the same children who brought diamonds to school for show and tell were, by their own accounts, being terribly abused. For years, they say they lived a secret, hellish life filled with brutality, imprisonment, starvation, and at the tender age of 4, they say they were forced to play the dangerous game of Russian roulette. In an exclusive interview, the twins are breaking their silence. They really wanted to talk to me because they feel that for years their voice was beaten down. And to finally be free, they must stand strong and speak out against those who they claim abused them so horribly for so many years. I wanted to speak to Georgia and Patterson individually because although they agree 100% on what happened to them, their interpretation of it is sometimes dramatically different. Patterson, for example, recalls being the wingman on wild and dangerous adventures with his action hero dad. But Georgia characterizes her father as a reckless drunk and drug user who constantly put them in harm's way. Thanks for sitting down and talking about this. What was it like physically in your house? If I walked in the front door during these times, what did it look like in there? What was the environment like?
It smelled horrible. It smelled nasty. Just like it's a bunch of different, imagine putting a bunch of different chemicals together and having it soak through the walls.
Was it dirty in there? Describe the food you ate.
It's really gross. It's stale. It's not good. Sometimes that's all we had. And we had rats in our pantry, and that's why I didn't eat anymore, because I was so disgusted.
Did the food have stuff growing on it?
There was mold on it. We had rats that chewed through the cereal box.
Where was your dad when this was going on?
My dad was never home, and if he was always locked up in his bedroom, smoking meth, doing whatever.
So he had no idea. He wasn't down here to protect you.
Well, if he did, he was too high to even understand it. I watched my dad overdose like 6 times. He was helpless. He couldn't help us even if his life depended on it.
If you did something wrong, how were you punished?
I'd be beat really, really bad and locked in my bedroom with the deadbolt lock on the outside. My dad used to beat us really bad.
What do you call really bad?
He would hit us. Physically hit us.
With his fist? Where would he hit you?
The face and the head. He used to just drop us on our heads because he wanted to make us stupid. He'd pick me up by my ankles.
Here you go. He'd pick you up by your ankles like this.
Yes, and he would drop me.
On your head.
And then he tried telling everybody that we had fetal alcohol syndrome. We never did. He used to slice my feet up as well.
Sliced your feet up?
Yes.
With what?
Knives.
On like the bottom of your feet, the tops, all over? Where would he cut you?
Everywhere. He didn't care.
Did anyone help you?
No, they didn't care.
Did anyone treat your feet? Did they put medicine on them?
No. He didn't care. Nobody cared.
I've been told the story of your father slapping you in a restaurant one day.
I don't know why he did that, and I was not acting up. I do know that.
What happened?
I don't know. He just slapped me. We were talking, and he just slapped me really, really hard. He hit me right there, like really hard.
And did you fall down, or?
I just went forward real hard, came back up, and looked at him and kind of started crying. And then wiped my tears up and stuck it up. And it bothered some people that were having dinner, which I kind of feel bad for them.
You felt bad for them?
It ruined their appetite.
What is your earliest recollection as a child?
I remember being tipped in cribs. My brother remembers a lot. He was talking to me about it last night. He's just not gonna come out and say it. It hurts him too bad. There's stuff that I don't even want to talk about. I just remember nannies used to play Russian roulette with us. They thought it was funny.
They played Russian roulette with you?
Yes, they'd load the gun, they'd spin it, and they'd shoot it.
At you?
Me and my brother. One time the gun went off accidentally.
And they were who to you?
Nannies.
They were there to care for you?
Supposedly.
To take care of you?
I remember when they tied us up, like I had my hands behind my back and rope, and my feet were tied up. I had duct tape put over my mouth, my nose, I couldn't breathe. So she ripped it off, and then she put it back on. This time not over my nose. Maybe she was stupid. And I remember crying and screaming for somebody, but she'd tell me to shut up and she'd hit me upside the head really hard.
You said at one point that you had vomited and a nanny made you lick it up off the floor. What happened?
She gave me pomegranate. She got mad because I couldn't eat it. It kept making me sick. So then she told me to lick it off the floor. So, yeah, it's really disgusting.
You were thrown down a flight of stairs.
Yeah. It's not even the worst. There's so much more. I get flashbacks. I remember they'd stick us in tires in the basement.
They would stick you in tires? How does that work?
Well, you stack a tire on top of a tire. We can't get out, and we're tied up. Again, we had duct tape. We were tied, and we were sitting on cement floors. And it was freezing. It was in the middle of winter.
Tell me about the boiling bathtub.
We got placed in hot water. There wasn't any cold water, period. They just turned it all the way on top, and it scalded us really, really bad. I thought my skin was literally, I thought it was melting away. It feels like you're on fire.
Was there a point at which you knew this isn't the way everybody else lives?
No, I kind of just thought it was normal.
You thought this is just life, and I don't want any more of it. Sometimes you'd say, I don't even want to be there.
No, I was just hoping to God that He'd just take me. You know, I really didn't see the point. I didn't see it.
These nannies 57 people across time. These people would be there for how long before they would quit, get fired, or run off, or whatever?
Some people could like see the way that we were living and be fired within a day because they couldn't handle it.
These nannies, what would they see that would make them run for the gates?
Coming up, George's twin brother Patterson is also haunted by their past.
My dad, seeing him dueling, and he was always high.
There were times that you were hungry. There were times that you were locked up, true?
There was a bunch of yelling in the kitchen. And we see this white guy. They put him on a chair.
Did he die?
Yeah, he died.
This February, get ready for unforgettable drama you won't see anywhere else.
Wasn't it your idea to kill your family?
Exclusive stories.
At age 19, I was married to the prophet of the FLDS people.
This 85-year-old man who has 64 other wives?
A former sect member confronts her polygamous father.
My father condoned my marriage.
How does that make sense to a father, to marry his daughter off to the crypt keeper?
Stories that change lives.
You had a hand to putting my son in jail, possibly for life.
Was this soldier falsely convicted?
Have you ever made false allegations prior to this?
Yes, I have.
Is this father killing his child?
You have an addict for a daughter and you're giving her money. Are you telling me that you don't know she's buying drugs with it?
You took her to a drug house to get it.
Stories about real people.
I've wired James around $265,000.
A mom hooked by a love scam.
Does it bother you that you've never seen or met this guy? There's a point at which you've got to say, this guy's a fraud.
You're his cash cow. Is that him calling you right now? Yes, it's him calling. Here.
You are a scumbag scam artist, and we know who you are, and you're going to give this lady her money back. What do you think of that?
Stories that make headlines.
I just witnessed the murders of my family.
A family brutally slaughtered.
Police have arrested the 16-year-old daughter.
You know that she planned this, right?
For the first time,
They practically decapitate your mother, shoot and stab your brothers to death.
the daughter speaks out.
You haven't told the truth yet, have you?
It all happens this February
What is the truth?
on Dr. Phil. Born billionaires but starved, abused, and locked in a basement continues.
Georgia Inman is a stunning teenager, the spitting image of her famous great-aunt, Doris Duke. But Georgia says she wishes every day that she was not born into the Duke family dynasty. Georgia says she still has flashbacks, and she shakes violently when she relives the memories she cannot escape. These nannies, what would they see that would make them run for the gates?
The way that we were being treated. We wouldn't be fed.
How long would you go without eating?
Probably like 2 days at a time.
So long enough that you were hungry. I trust that your life now is a whole lot better,
Oh yeah.
and that by comparison, you now see that that was not normal.
When I saw my dad in his head in a garbage can, drool coming out of his mouth, you know, having to pour water on him and try to do CPR compressions on him, you know, I thought that was normal. I didn't really know that this isn't right.
So you didn't know that this isn't also happening down the block or around the corner. This isn't the way people live. That's just all you ever knew.
Yeah, we were alienated from friendship, people, social, like we really didn't have a social life except for with the people that hurt us.
Some people on the outside might look in and say, you know, look at all this money and wealth. For you, what was it like growing up with money?
Doesn't matter. It didn't matter to me. If somebody were to look at me like that and say, wow, I would say, you want to trade lives? I would trade somebody their life right now to have them live my whole life, to live in my shoes. It didn't matter to me. I just wanted to be free. I was trapped because of it.
It was blood money.
That's what it is.
Despite being born into American royalty, George's twin brother Patterson is haunted by a past filled with horrors that he says he can't erase from his mind. He is damaged by that history, yet strangely conflicted about blaming his beloved father because of all the fond memories he has of their extravagant adventures. It was only after I introduced the concept that you can still love a person but not love certain behaviors or choices they made did Patterson give himself permission to really speak candidly about the bad side of a good man when he was speaking of his father. How far back in your life do you remember? What's the earliest recollection you have?
Like 4 years old.
What do you remember?
I know a couple things, but they're not really pretty. I remember taking a flight to Japan, me and Georgia, my dad. We got off the plane and we got in a red vehicle and we were driving around. We stopped at this restaurant. There was a bunch of yelling in the kitchen and we see this white guy and he ran out of the kitchen. They got a hold of him. It was about stealing. Like, I know the story, but there's some gaps that are kind of missing.
That's all right. Just tell me what you do remember.
Well, they put him on a chair and the chair had big slits in the chair. Before they even put him in the chair, they actually stripped him nude. They took his pants off and...
Was he strapped in?
I believe the men were on both sides of the chair holding his hands down, but I do remember that I was really scared. They did stick an object between the slits and it looked like a bamboo stick. And they did it nice and slow. And they just pushed it up and I could see the green piece of the splinters go up in his...
Was he screaming?
Yes. Like, I could not believe.
Did he die?
Yeah, he died.
In the chair?
He died in the chair. The object went all the way through it. I turned him into a kebab.
What did you say to yourself at the time? Do you remember what you thought?
I was scared, I know that. I was crying, I was terrified. I think I tried to, grab onto my father, to hold him. He'd push me away.
Why do you think he would allow you to be there for something like that?
I think this whole thing was about stealing and teaching me a lesson at 4 years old, what happens when you steal, which really didn't teach me, Jack actually didn't teach me anything. I think it really messed with my head, a lot.
Well, you remember it today?
Yeah.
Listen, I am sorry that you lost your father. I know he meant a lot to you, as mine did to me. But I learned something that helped me adjust myself, and that is I realized that I can love my father and not love everything he did.
Yeah.
You need to understand it's not a betrayal of your father to acknowledge there are things about him that were not okay. And taking a 4-year-old in that situation goes on that list, right? I mean, you wouldn't do that if you had a 4-year-old son, would you?
No.
You'd never allow him to see something like that.
I can't even handle it.
Yeah. And it's okay to be mad at your dad about that. That doesn't mean you don't love him, and it doesn't mean you're being disloyal. It just means that was the bad side of a good man.
Yeah.
But we don't have to love the bad side.
Like, he was always high. That was kind of sad, seeing him nodding out, drooling and moving back and forth with his legs crossed. I sound that every day.
Did it confuse you when your dad would do things like that when you knew that he loved you and you knew that you loved him? Did it confuse you when he would do things to hurt you?
Coming up.
There were times that you were hungry. There were times that you were locked up.
They were feeding me my own and they were pretending it was food.
How did that happen?
Born billionaires but starved, abused, and locked in a basement continues.
Did it confuse you when your dad would do things to hurt you?
Yeah, we had explosives around the property.
Like dynamite explosives?
They were steel objects about this big, and if I dropped it, it could blow half my body away. When he was high, he dropped them all over the place, and I'd go pick them up, and I would throw them, and they never ignited. But one time I picked him up, and I said, "Hey, Dad, look what I found." He just slapped me across the face so hard, I thought all my teeth were gone. He told me, "Oh, you're lucky you didn't drop it."
How old were you?
I'm maybe 7, 6.
Well, that's why you don't let kids play with things like that, because they can't predict the result.
Yeah.
You know it's going to blow up, but you don't realize it's going to blow your legs off.
Yeah.
Why would he let you be around things like that?
He loved explosives, and he became a pyrotech. He was a smart guy. He was really good with math and science.
Yeah.
We did all kinds of things, blow stuff up, shoot guns. It was really fun for me to
That was fun,
see stuff.
of course. When you look back on some of the adventures that you had with your dad, some of those things are memories that you'll never forget.
New Zealand, we have this boat down there. It's an 80-foot ketch named Divine Decadence. Divine is spelt wrong because he forgot the E because he was so high at spelling the name. Yeah, New Zealand was a blast. My dad used to party out with the Hells Angels on the boat. Very nice people. Some of the hookers were kind of cool too, I got to chat up a storm as this young boy, They were nice girls to be around.
The hookers?
Yeah.
In New Zealand?
Yep.
So you had some really interesting experiences with your father. But do you get that if somebody was just reading an account and it was a story about a dad took his 9-year-old son to New Zealand and had drug parties on the boat with Hells Angels and hookers, that there are those who would say, not the best parenting decision?
Yeah, of course.
At what point did it hit you like, oh yeah, the kid next to me at the mall, he probably didn't do this last weekend?
A lot of kids, when I was up in Wyoming, they weren't allowed to my house because my dad was big into collecting pornography, and then we had these big old gates, and the only way you could open the gates is if you grabbed onto the and open the gates.
Right.
And when the parents were coming to the house, because they didn't know, they wanted to meet my dad, that was a no-no. It was over.
That was it?
That was it. No kids at the house no more. Nope. There were only maybe 2 kids. His name is Tate, that's all I'll say. And he was able to come into the home and, explore and shoot guns with my father and see all the interesting things about my father. What sucked is my father didn't believe in wearing clothes either. So he'd walk around nude. Yeah, it was, oh my gosh.
How did he change when he was high? Because he wasn't always high, I'm sure.
He was always high, actually.
Were you ever around him when he was sober?
I don't think so. I know he took pills, and one time when I broke my arm, I snapped it. He was taking my pills. And that's how we got in the crash. When my stepmother she started taking my stuff too, and we got in a car accident, crashed into a tree. Yeah, but he was always high. My stepmother, she was like very mean.
How would she be mean to you?
She would tell me I'm stupid. I'm retarded. I remember when I passed the 3rd grade, and I was gonna go. Sorry, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Like when I passed the 3rd grade, and I was going to go to 4th, she said, "Oh, I thought you were too stupid to even, to pass." My real mother was good because I remember, at 8 years old, I was clinging onto her leg and saying, "Don't leave me" and stuff, because she was not allowed to see us. They told me she was a druggie, and she was this horrible person.
What else are you going to believe? You believe what you're told.
Yeah.
There were times that you were hungry. There were times that you were locked up. True?
Yeah. Well, this is how it's said. They were feeding me my own. So, say I was living in feast, in a closet. I guess that could be my father's fault. He wasn't there at the time. It was these people.
How did that happen?
I just remember being in this basement, and they were pretending it was food and chew, just being thinking it's normal to feed me, that.
Where was your dad? Where was Darrell Lee?
I don't know where they were.
When you think about that now, does it make you mad? Does it make you sad?
I'd like to have those. So
That's okay.
I just like them put in a body bag.
You know what? Despite what happened, despite what you went through,
I'm a survivor.
You're still here.
Yeah.
You're here.
I don't want to be a victim. I want to be a victor.
Well, you are. I hear you 100%. You know, the only way they have a chance to get away with this is if y'all had remained silent. And by having the courage to stand up and say, here's what happened, and by God, it wasn't right. That's how they don't get away with it. That's how none of them get away with it. You telling the truth, that's their worst nightmare.
No.
Your dad, when they told you that he had died, were you surprised?
Coming up.
He was pissed off over something. He said if you hear like a blast, like don't bother walking in.
Did it scare you when those things happened?
And later.
And then she started driving fast and acting up like that, so I begged her to please slow down, you know. I thought she was gonna go like off this hill. I thought we were gonna just roll the way down and die.
Monday, a family brutally slaughtered.
Police say Penny Caffey and her 8 and 13-year-old sons were shot and stabbed multiple times before dying. The house was then set on fire.
Police have arrested a 16-year-old daughter.
She has told a lot of different stories about what happened the night that they were murdered, but today we're going to try to find out the truth.
A Dr. Phil exclusive.
They practically decapitate your mother, shoot and stab your brothers to death.
Her plan was to have the entire family murdered.
So what was Erin's reaction when she learned that her father had actually survived the brutal attack?
I was shot 11 times.
These are bullet wounds in your father's body. Have you seen these? This is where they shot him in the face.
But is her father in denial?
You know that she planned this, right? How do you transition from the daughter that everybody would dream of to plotting the death of your family?
For the first time, the daughter speaks out.
You needed them out of the way for a reason. What was it?
We now return to Dr. Phil's exclusive interview with Patterson Inman.
Your dad, when they told you that he had died, were you surprised?
Well, like I was surprised because I thought he was gonna live forever. You know, he told me, oh, I'm not gonna die. Well, multiple times. I'd find him like OD'd. One time in the vault, there was a bunch of pills in his hand. We never called the hospital, like the ambulance on that one. Daly told me to throw water at him and he would just wake up. So that's what I did.
Did it scare you when those things happened?
Yeah, it scared me. I didn't know what was going on.
Do you think he was suicidal?
No.
You think he was just reckless?
Yeah.
Is there a story that involves a Luger?
Yeah, there is a story. He was pissed off over something. He said, I'm just gonna kiss the Luger. And if you hear like a blast, like don't bother walking in. So I didn't really understand what he was saying, but when I got older, I would understand. You get what I mean? He would kill himself. But I don't think he killed himself when he died. When he actually died, I don't think he wanted to die.
How did you find out about your dad's passing?
I remember trying to go at 14, I believe, to go see my dad's funeral. Like, it's just like, because I never really got to go see him when he died. Like, I saw him in Wyoming. It was like it was an open funeral, like an open coffin. Mm-hmm. They were giggling. Like, you know, they were just like laughing at my dad.
What did you want to say to them?
I'm going after him.
Well, I'm glad to hear you say that, because I mean, what they ought to be hearing from you is he's gone, but I'm not. I'm here, and you're accountable.
They showed me the autopsy. I guess he died of It was opium and methamphetamine and stuff. It was just like a big mixture of drugs.
What other forms of abuse did these people perpetrate? We know you've been hit. We know you've been sliced with a knife. We know you've been fed your own excrement. We know you've been locked up.
There's things I do know, but I don't really want to talk about them. But some things I don't think people should know. Do you get what I mean? Mm-hmm. I just want these people put away. I want to be able to be back at my homes and see my dad. Even though he's dead, I just want to sit right next to his tombstone. I know my dad better than anybody else does. I know he had a problem, you know, with drugs. But he was a fun man to be around as well, you know. I want to be able to see all these bad people in a jail cell with me giving a thumbs up. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you ever have a sense of loneliness when you were growing up because you couldn't have friends?
Kinda bothered me a little bit.
Well, how about now? Do you have friends now?
If you want to know the truth, I don't consider them friends. I do have friends, but the parents are more wanting to be my friend than the kids are wanting to be my friend. The parents are all about money. When you have money, you start having these weird people be around you, and they just want you for money.
So it's hard for you to trust
Yeah,
anybody.
it's really hard. Really, I don't have any friends. I don't have any.
If you could just write the script of what was going to happen over the next 2 or 3 years, what would it be?
Well, I just want to get on with life. I want to be a kid again. And I don't want people to feel sorry for me. I just want people to know what happened. But I want to be back with my estate and be at home.
And right now, because of the outstanding lawsuits, you are banned from your home.
Yeah. I'm not even allowed to see my dad. You know what? Like, how is that even normal? Like, that's not okay. I'm pissed off. I'm sitting here right now, having to deal with everything, and I can't just be left at Greenfield, chilling out, you know, fishing and having fun. Instead, I'm dealing with all this nonsense that I shouldn't be dealing with. I'm coming after the bastards, and I hope they know, you know, there's a battle cry, and it's pretty serious. Yeah, they're going down.
I hear you. It's important to me that you also know that people that have been through all manners of abuse, that does change who you are.
Yeah.
But those wounds heal.
I'll probably heal after everybody's put away.
Coming up.
I didn't even think I was gonna live to see my mom again. I thought I was gonna be dead.
We now return to Dr. Phil's exclusive interview with Georgia Inman.
You were listening to part of my interview with your brother Patterson, right? Was that hard to listen to for you?
Yes.
Tell me why.
Because I don't understand why all of the things that happened. I don't know. I really wish my dad was here right now so that I could confront him. And it hurts me to hear that stuff because it's like, it's just like scarred.
It's like trying to make sense out of nonsense, right?
Yeah.
When I was talking to your brother, he talked about an instance that happened when you were 4 years old in Japan.
Patterson didn't tell you that they sliced open his stomach and his intestines was hanging out, and that's the reason he could see that go up. They told us they were going to teach us a lesson if we ever stole. And my dad and my brother tried to grab me because I was screaming bloody murder. So my dad had his hand over my mouth.
So you're 4 years old and you witnessed this man being impaled and disemboweled and dying.
I saw his eye
How did
sockets
your
pop
dad...
out and everything. My dad didn't say nothing. He was a chicken. I was scared. I thought that's what they were going to do to me.
Do you have any idea why your father took you there and let you witness that? You said teach you not to steal.
The dude that murdered him told us if we ever stole from him, that's what would happen to us. But worse. My dad just called me a liar and a thief, so that if I did ever open up, like I tried to, nobody would listen. They'd just think I was crazy or making things up. Then when I did open up, he'd just go and splash cash wherever, to whoever would take it. Oh yeah, they keep their mouths shut.
To just pay them off?
Yeah.
Did you ever see him do that?
Yes.
I mean, how much would he give people? Would he give them $500, $10,000? What would he give them?
It was a thick wad of cash, like just all hundreds.
Big rolls of cash. And he would pay them to be
Keep their mouths
quiet
shut.
about what?
Abuse and neglect.
So these are people that would know what was happening to you, and then he would just pay them to shut up.
Yeah.
And they would.
And they would.
That's how he got away without ever being arrested. That's how he got away without losing custody. What do you say to yourself as a child when you reach out to an adult for help, and then somebody comes in behind us, pays them off, shut up, and you're not helped at all?
There's no hope when that happens. To be honest with you, I thought I was going to be dead. I didn't even think I was going to live to see my mom again.
Were you taken to the doctor when you would get sick?
Dr. Stiver's the only good doctor. Dr. Stiver told my dad to his face that he's up and that he should go to hell. And this was after the wreck, after Dr. Stiver had to pull glass out of my face. Because even though the airbag hit me, we went like 65, 70, hitting this tree.
Who was driving?
Dara Lee. She took my dad's Suburban. I don't know why she took her truck, but thank God she took my dad's Suburban, because if she didn't, I don't even think we would be here right now. I think me and my brother would be dead. But the really weird thing is that morning when she woke us up to go to school, it was like about 5 in the morning, and she was dropping glass. She had like this long glass cup, and she just dropped it. Like she was like running into the walls and stuff, and I was just like, Darryl, are you okay? She smacked me, and so I just shut up. Then after that, she said, get in the car right now. You know, she was screaming. I knew something wasn't right the minute she started driving fast and acting up like that. So I begged her to please slow down. You know, I thought she was gonna go like off this hill. I thought we were gonna just roll all the way down and die, because it's like a cliff. And so I'm sitting here, I'm screaming, I'm begging her to slow down. My brother, he said, oh my God. And I said, well, now you've wrecked us. And those were the last words that came out of my mouth.
And she hit the tree. Airbags in your face.
It didn't really save me much. I mean, I guess it kept me from going completely through the windshield. Still had glass all stuck in my face and in my body. My brother got me out. That day, I like literally thought I was gonna die. I guess the hospital could have got me or something.
Tell me that you understand that none of this was your fault.
I understand that now.
You do understand that now?
Yeah.
There wasn't anything you could do that justified what was done to you. You were an innocent party in an evil trap.
Coming up.
You understand the contrast. You're taking diamonds to school for show and tell, and nobody knows that you're locked in a room for days at a time.
Yeah.
We now return to Dr. Phil's exclusive interview with the Inman twins.
We talked about the dark side of everything that's happened to y'all, but I want to talk just a minute about what the world saw. There were glamorous things about your life, right?
Yeah.
Did you travel on private jets?
Oh, yeah.
You had a sailboat that would sail around the world? Did you have pets?
A camel named Sinbad.
A lion named Holly.
And a chimpanzee named Candy.
Did you live differently than other kids at school? What would you take for show and tell?
I did take valuables like, you know, diamonds and gold coins, cougar ends, and South African gold, and then I bung.
To show and tell.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of cool, you know.
So our dad brought in the guns and swords and stuff, would show off all the like antiques that he had. I said, Dad, you know you're not supposed to bring weapons into the school, right?
What, do you bring those guns?
Oh, he bung all of them, every single one you could think of. He bung hand grenades to school. Yeah, I just show all the kids.
You said that he liked to blow stuff up.
Yeah, that's
and now you like to blow stuff up. What would you guys blow up?
We blew up like trailer houses, blew up vehicles.
Empty, I assume.
Yeah, we blew up all kinds of things, like things that would make like a big explosion, like cars, school buses. We used to buy school buses from the junkyard and blow them in half.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he taught me some neat things, but don't do it because, you know, it's not okay now.
You understand the contrast. You're taking diamonds to school for show and tell,
yeah,
and nobody knows that you're locked in a room for days at a time.
Yeah.
That's the contrast, right, of what people would sometimes see versus what you were actually living.
So they say it's luxurious life, but at the same time, living hell.
When you reconnected with your mom, at first, y'all thought she was a terrible person, right?
Yeah.
I thought she was everything my dad said she was, an alcoholic, drug addict.
I think he called her a hooker, I believe.
I understood you were throwing boulders at the car.
Tomorrow, an exclusive Dr. Phil interview. The mother of the billionaire twins speaks out about her fight to rescue her children.
These children report horrific abuse.
They said their mouths were being taped shut, being tied, being beat.
They were small and frail, very underweight, had a lot of dark circles under their eyes.
The kids thought their mother had abandoned them.
They've been told, you're an evil woman.
Right, that I never loved them.
The father with $1 billion fortune.
Did he want children?
He needed heirs.
Now the twins struggle with trust.
Friends we thought were our friends really aren't.
They're just after you for money.
And fight to bring their accused abusers to justice.
I really want to see these people thrown in prison.
That's tomorrow.
Want to know what's coming up on Dr. Phil? Visit our website and subscribe to our email newsletter. You'll get weekly updates, life strategies, and exclusive video that you won't find anywhere else.
Plus, on drphil.com, you can see sneak previews of upcoming shows. Log on today.
We now return to the darkness of riches.
Georgia and Patterson Inman don't want to be seen as victims. They are survivors. When they first began revealing the secrets of their past, they were shuddering and crying. But as they opened up, they became stronger and blossomed before our eyes. Now, finally, after years of being silent and afraid, they have found their voice. Coming up tomorrow, we continue to pull back the curtain to see what really happened to two of the richest teenagers in America. When their billionaire father overdosed in a Holiday Inn, did the twins' hell finally end? Well, you won't believe what happened when they were reunited with their mother after years of being told that she was the enemy who had abandoned them. It's an inspiring story of strength, courage, and survival. Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow.